Next up is Kevin Feldt with the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and that's what he asked me to introduce him as and nothing more.
Thank you, and that is really all I do need. Judge Anderson and Mr. Moody, I do have some good news for you, hopefully, as I get through my information here today. Let's see, which way is big button? A couple things I want to talk about today are the high-speed rail plans in our mobility plans, how Toppers and the DFW area kind of commingle. The Dallas to Houston bullet train and what we are doing within the region for it, what the next steps and where we are with the Dallas to Fort Worth Core Express service, and then again the next steps in general where we're headed with everything. So in the mobility plans, the one thing to kind of keep in mind is that there are more than just projects. There are policies and programs as well that make up our long-range transportation plan. In the current Mobility 2040 plan, you'll notice that we have one program relative to high-speed rail where we want to link North Texas to other regions and states, and that's where the I-20 and the I-35 corridors come in very handy from a rail perspective. We're conducting needs assessments. We also conduct planning and service operations kind of level studies, determine capital funding needs, and we also want to make sure we have good use of public and private funds and how we can get our projects moving forward. In the Mobility 2040 plan is also a series of policies that relate back to high-speed rail. One-seat ride, we want to make sure that the passengers can move as efficiently and conveniently as possible, not only from our area, but to and through our area. We want to make sure that there's 3 stations within the region, downtown Dallas, downtown Fort Worth, and also in Arlington. We're going to encourage sustainable land uses on both high and higher speed rail services. Currently in the Mobility 2040 plan, you'll notice that the blue lines that you see here represent what we would consider at-grade or higher speed rail service, and that's where we connect the I-35 and the I-20 passenger trains together through Fort Worth and on into the Dallas area. Secondly, we have the kind of reddish or orange line there. That is the high-speed rail line, and that kind of goes up from the San Antonio, Austin area to Fort Worth, and then eastward toward Dallas. But we also take a jog to the north, and we go along the TRE alignment into Dallas, and then again, as Texas Central friends have mentioned earlier, we go on south down to Houston. For Mobility 2045, the same policies and program are going to continue forward at this point as our recommendation. But the alignment of the systems change a little bit. The blue higher speed rail lines stay the same, but the high speed rail line, and rather than going up along Highway 360 toward the TRE alignment and on into downtown Dallas, will probably remain closer to the I-30 corridor or something proximity to that. How does the Toppers study and planning work here in the DFW area? The Tier 1 recommendations are consistent with the Mobility 2040 plan north of Fort Worth toward Oklahoma. However, they are not consistent with our Mobility 2040 plan south of Fort Worth toward Austin and San Antonio. We continue to coordinate with the corridor MPOs to create a sort of a plan and a game plan, if you will, to move that project into the project level environmental impact statement. And also wanted to mention that while it's not consistent south of Fort Worth in the Mobility 2040 plan, our recommendations for 2045 also indicate that the recommendations would not be consistent as well. The Dallas to Houston bullet train, it is consistent with our Mobility 2040 plan. It's consistent with our draft Mobility 2045 recommendations that we've presented to the Regional Transportation Council at this point. We want to ensure there's a westward expansion capability from the system, and we have memorandums of understanding and such documents that would allow both the local governments and Texas Central partners to work collaboratively to that end. multimodal connectivity in and around the station area in downtown Dallas. And we are currently reviewing the draft environmental impact statement for comments from the region. The Core Express service is sort of that area between Fort Worth and Dallas that would tie the Toppers and the Texas Central project together. We're coordinating right now with the cities of Dallas and Fort Worth to create a local government corporation that would basically oversee the implementation of this project. We're identifying what kind of steps we need to move forward with to pick up the draft environmental impact statement that TxDOT had moved forward until recently. We also want to coordinate with Dallas on we have been coordinating with Dallas on their high-speed rail station zone assessment in coordination with Texas Central Partners and how they've located that facility. And we want to complete, we have completed the Arlington and Fort Worth high-speed rail station area studies, which I'll show you here in a moment. We also, in the Council of Government staff, has worked on refining some of the alignments, which is why it's changed from moving up 360 along the TRE corridor down to the I-30 alignment. These are all the alignments that we analyzed in-house. We haven't made a final recommendation at this point, but at this point, it's just good to know that we used our analysis on quite a few possibilities between the two cities. In Arlington, our station area planning study came out with 4 possible locations, north of I-30, south of I-30, and then a couple of stations kind of in what would be the proximity of the Globe Life Park baseball stadium at this point, and then several alignments that would have accessed all of those possible locations. The City of Arlington and the study were luckily on the same page, and we came out with the preferred station location just south of I-30 and north of Globe Life Park. Some of the factors that were considered in that analysis: complementary land uses, what would be the private sector participation, not only on the high-speed rail or the station itself, but access to the station and things, the ease of acquisition of parcels that would be needed, and also an alignment, what alignment opportunities were most consistent with where the station might be located. On the Fort Worth side, there were 7 locations that were initially identified as possibilities, kind of all around and in the downtown Fort Worth area. The preferred location in the study and also by the City of Fort Worth has been this station that would sort of encompass the intermodal transportation center area there in downtown Fort Worth, where the Amtrak station is, and the future Tex Rail station will be, bus stations, and also the TRE station is there. Some of the factors that we considered there, you see, are the alignment options again, a lot of the land ownership concerns in downtown Fort Worth, neighborhood issues. Wanted to make sure that everyone was understanding and knowing what would be going on. Multimodal connectivity, as I mentioned, TRE, Tex Rail, Amtrak, bus service, all of that happens in this area. Wanted to look at cultural and historical areas, as well as what the scale and impact. You know, these high-speed rail stations, as our friends at Texas Central will tell you, they're not little bus stations, they're not little train stations, they're not along the scale of a Dart Light Rail station you see back here at Mockingbird. They're very large, they're very visually obvious, if you will. So we wanted to make sure that we kind of looked at what that might mean to the area as well. And of course, economic development. What opportunities would this allow, and would it foster, depending on where it might be located? So one of the things that we came out of this is, you can see if we highlight the station at the ITC area, you've got enhanced connectivity to the east toward Butler Place, which is undergoing a redevelopment opportunity now. It's close to City Hall and Sundance Square, some of the more prominent destinations in downtown Fort Worth, including the Convention Center. So what are some of the next steps we'll be doing? Coordinating with the MPOs that encompass the area between here and the Mexican border. Obviously coordinating with Texas Central Partners, the City of Dallas, as I mentioned, DART, and how we all access the stations and things. Also the Fort Worth Transportation Authority and the other transportation agencies, TxDOT, NTTA, and things that might be of concern to all these things. Local Government Corporation Initiative, working right now to get that set up and moving forward. Adopt the Mobility 2045 plan. We hope that that will occur sometime in June, and identifying what the next steps are to, again, keep moving on the Core Express Service draft environmental impact statement. And with that.